afternoon. I'm Nancy Hastings, the fourth part of our group, and I'm going to ask the timer to help time because I'm a teacher, and if I start going, it's going to be 50 minutes, so you have to help me. Okay?
How much do you want?
Is it 8 minutes? About 8 minutes.
Okay.
But just wave your hand if I can't go. Okay. I want to observe something this afternoon before I start. A year ago, and the reason I'm here is because I read the newspaper, and because you folks were kind enough to put a press release out that you were having OC and Linda visiting the campus. I'm from the Department of English. I read the paper, and I saw it, and I thought, I want to come and hear what you folks are presenting. And this is the sincere compliment I can offer this afternoon. When I came last year, I knew nothing about you folks. And I sat and I listened and I listened, and I was struck by one thing. I have never seen a team work together in a smoother and more kind and more listening fashion than the way you folks model it. And we should acknowledge that right now. There was a part of that lecture a year ago. I'm going to bring it back. OC told us that we all have our individual ethical codes and we think we have the halo and we live well. But it's not until you work in the corporation and there's the cultural corporation values that they take over. And one comment that you made stuck with me the whole year. The ethical decisions that the students or ourselves are confronted with are in the second. You have just a couple of seconds to react. And that stuck with me. We don't have all day and all week to reckon with what we're going to do. It's the moment we're talking about. And so as Gracie pointed out, it is critical that the students are given a chance through case studies, through debates, to have that opportunity to be in the hot seat early, before it's the day when things do count and things do matter. So I appreciate all of your input. I'm going to be running this kind of as a class. I've got one student back here, but I'm not going to put him on the spot. He's going back tonight to Michigan State up in Lansing. Tomorrow morning is your flight. If I was a little bit meaner, I'd make you participate, but I'm going to have some other folks help participate. So we're going to have some interaction going on. There's going to be other people speaking, and I'm going to mess up your camera program. Sorry about that. I would like to start with a little bit about what my fellowship was. I was asked to interview members of the NMSU Business Advisory Council. Now, I don't know a lot about business, except for balancing my checkbook and spending the money that my husband is earning. But when I was with these advisory members, they would start talking and telling stories. And guess what? Even though I don't have the knowledge of finance or banking or investment theory, as soon as they connected with me in terms of their stories, I could track what they were telling me. There's a book over on the shelf at Zool Library on NMSU campus. And I spend a lot of time in the library because I'm helping students write research papers. The book is about yay thick. And I recommend it to you if you've never gone over to the reference area. It's a book that has all of the codes of ethics for different professions. And one of the most elaborate and carefully written sections of that code book is the one for public accountants. So you folks are I was really awed by that. I was very impressed how articulated, down to the detail, how accounting is done. On the other hand, the banking section left it open for the individual banks to come up and generate their own code of ethics. And there were some guidelines, but it wasn't nearly as articulated in meticulous detail that the accounting section had. So there's a little area. I teach English. I have my students write their philosophy of life. And if you're teaching business, you can ask your students to write their philosophy of business. And guess what? We've talked about student cheating. When you ask an assignment, such as your philosophy of business, you can't go to the internet and download something because we're not asking that, so they're going to have to generate something. no wrong or right answer, it's just what they think about business. If I walk over to the psychology department, they're going to give me a tip that's part of what's underlying all of our discussion today. It's impossible for us to feel good in our skin if we're inconsistent, okay? So if we can activate in our young people their code of ethics, their philosophy of business, where they stand, and they stand on the ground with their own belief system, then later on, when they're in their 30s or their 40s, they've got the house payment, the car payment, there's still that little part of them that says, I can't be inconsistent. I have to be integrated to be a human being according to the psychology department. And if I'm inconsistent, then I'm not going to have sleep at night. Okay? So that's why I think the teaching of ethics is really, really critical. I heard many, many stories, and so I'm connecting my part of the fellowship, and my contribution is storytelling. And I'm going to have Albert Simons from Alamogordo. He teaches business over there. Would you tell us a little bit about the value and the power of storytelling? This is going to be a source we're going to bring in.
Story is a universal mirror that shows us the truth about ourselves, who and why we are. When we look into this mirror, we see daily routines, mundane circumstances transformed into something profound. Story takes the ordinary and binds it into human existence, revealing the significance of trivial. Through story, we can transcend the experience of daily living and know ourselves as a more enduring than little occurrences that make our individual existence. Inside story, we can accept pain, find justice, experience exhilaration. Inside story, we can recognize and understand our motivations because we are the people in the stories. When we enter into story, we find the story inside ourselves. Story defines humanity.
Thank you, Albert. I appreciate your participation this morning. Thank you.